Good evening, everyone. This is Dan Old School Green, bringing you another edition of Quick Takes, brought to you by the Heat Ratio Sports Network. As always, subscribe to Heat Ratio on YouTube, tap the bell, and again, you'll be triggered to our amazing programming. Now, I've done many quick takes since I started this concept, and this is going to be a unique one and perhaps my most favorite one. What if Matt Geiger had said yes? For those of you that don't recall, many Sixers fans and NBA fans might recall that prior to the 2001 season, in the offseason of 2000, the Sixers almost consummated a trade, a huge trade that would have gotten rid of Allen Iverson. You see, Larry Brown had enough. He had enough of the lateness, if not complete absence of practicing, the late hours, the drama that was Allen Iverson. You can't ever take away Allen Iverson's unbelievable skill, but he was a large package in many other ways to deal with. And Larry Brown had enough. And he finally convinced Pat Croce to get rid of Allen Iverson. But what held up that trade was Matt Geiger. Matt Geiger was only in the second year of a 6-year, $47 million contract. And he had to waive a $1.2 million trade kicker. After evaluating the trade, he said no. And the trade was over. But what if he had said yes? This is what would have happened. The Sixers would have received Eddie Jones. This was a multi-team trade. Sixers would have received Eddie Jones in his prime. Glenn Rice, still 3 or 4 good years left. A terrific defender and bulldog of a player, Jerome Williams, and an expiring contract in Dale Ellis, who was totally past his prime. Iverson and Geiger go to the Pistons. This is important. Stackhouse, a Sixer at the time. Christian Laettner and Travis Knight go to Charlotte. Actually, Stackhouse wasn't a Sixer. He was on Detroit. Pardon me. Stackhouse, Christian Laettner, Travis Knight go to Charlotte. Anthony Mason, Tony Kukoc, and Todd Fuller go to the Lakers. So, your starters for the Sixers, if this trade indeed happens, and this is 2000-2001 season, which was the year we went to the championship with Allen Iverson. So does this team, without Allen Iverson, go to the championship the following year? Or maybe they build something for future years. Your team looks like this. Starters: Eric Snow, Eddie Jones, Glenn Rice, Tyrone Hill, and Theo Ratliff. Key players off the bench: Aaron McKee, Jerome Williams, Jermaine Jones, Todd McCullough, and George Lynch. Now, before I go any further, Tony's going to watch this and go, "Stop it, Teach." Well, I'm sorry. Let's discuss the butterfly effect theory. And everything about this trade hinges on that theory. In its complex definition, the butterfly effect theory is a property of chaotic systems by which small changes in initial conditions can lead to large-scale and unpredictable variation in the future state of the system. In simple terms, the butterfly effect is when something transpires, it affects the future. Simple as that. So everything that we say regarding this trade, we can't assume players will be on the Pistons, the Sixers down the road. So think of the butterfly effect with all this discussion. So you heard our lineup, right? Now, how does this affect the Detroit Pistons, a team that won the championship in 03-04? And let's get back to the butterfly effect. I mentioned Theo Ratliff. Well, some of you might say, well, he got injured. He wouldn't have been injured if this trade took place because the future is now altered. Theo Ratliff got hurt while playing with Allen Iverson. That incident doesn't take place, the butterfly effect. The Detroit Pistons. win the championship in 03-04? Would they have with Allen Iverson joining them in the offseason of 2000? I don't know. Here's what I know happens or doesn't happen. Larry Brown probably doesn't coach that 03-04 Pistons team because he's happy that Allen Iverson is out of Philly and he stays in Philly. If Stackhouse is included in the trade, Detroit does not acquire Rip Hamilton down the line. Again, Stackhouse was on that Pistons team. He would have rejoined, Iverson would have rejoined Stackhouse, who was once his teammate in Philadelphia. Chauncey Billups, a key player with that Pistons team, won't sign with Detroit knowing Allen Iverson's on the roster. So now you have to look at it this way. Would Allen Iverson joining Ben Wallace, because Ben Wallace would have been on that team, Stackhouse, again, the trade, Ben, actually, if Stackhouse wouldn't have been on that team. So I'm sorry. So he would have joined Ben Wallace and perhaps a couple years later, Tayshaun Prince and perhaps even Rasheed Wallace, who came in 03. So I contend that they don't win a championship, either team, in 2000, 2001, or get to the championship. But maybe a Detroit Piston-led team by another coach, who wouldn't have been Larry Brown, could they have gotten to the championship with Allen Iverson, Ben Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, Rasheed Wallace, and other pieces? But again, the butterfly effect. Does Rasheed Wallace even come into the equation? Does Tayshaun Prince get drafted? This trade alters everything. So, in conclusion to this crazy quick take, what if Geiger said yes? Obviously, the Sixers don't get to the championship the following year. That was Allen Iverson's team. They built a team to win around Allen Iverson. However, as we now know, you couldn't win a championship with Allen Iverson, or at least the Sixers didn't. I don't think they got past the second round after that championship, almost championship season of 2000, 2001. So the Sixers clearly don't win a championship with Allen Iverson. We know that because that took place. And we know that the 2003, 2004 Pistons don't necessarily win a championship because if that trade took place, you don't have Billups, you don't have Rip Hamilton. Who knows if you draft Tayshaun Prince? Who knows if you make a trade for Rasheed Wallace? And who knows if any of those guys could have played with, Allen Iverson. Again, as great as Allen Iverson was, it took special players to play with him. So I don't necessarily have a quick take that says this team would have been better, this player would have been better. I can just simply say history would have clearly been altered, and I don't think that the Sixers win a championship with the new roster, and I don't think Detroit ever would have won a championship with Allen Iverson on their roster. And a lot of that is also based on the fact that the Lakers were just a powerhouse team in that time period or in that era. All right. So till next time, I am Dan Old Skull Green. I am part of the Heat Ratio Sports Network, and I'll see you next week for another quick take. Stay well. Take care. Go Sixers.